Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Contemplation brought to you by Spotlight Recovery. I'm your host, Lucas. It is February the 23rd today, and we're actually going to be reading out of the AA Daily Reflections. I found a neat little reflection here that I like. I don't know how much I'll have to share versus just what stands out from the language itself, but please feel free to read along, and let's get into it. So, February 23rd, entitled Mysterious Paradoxes. The name brought me in right away. It's so cool. Such is the paradox of AA regeneration. Strength arising out of complete defeat and weakness, the loss of one's old life as a condition for finding a new one. From AA Comes of Age, page 46. What glorious mysteries paradoxes are. Yeah, I read that right. They do not compute, yet when recognized and accepted, they reaffirm something in the universe beyond human logic. When I face a fear, I am given courage. When I support a brother or sister, my capacity to love myself is increased. When I accept pain as a part of the growing experience of life, I realize a greater happiness. When I look at my dark side, I am brought into new light. When I accept my vulnerabilities and surrender to a higher power, I am graced with unforeseen strength. I stumbled through the doors of AA in disgrace, expecting nothing from life, and I have been given hope and dignity. Miraculously, the only way to keep the gifts of the program is to pass them on. It's just so cool. I love the language in it. I love the way that this is written. It's got this real philosophical I don't know, it sounds like a wizard is reading this to you. Like the way that it's spoken, it sounds like some recovery wizard. It's just like that old language. It's really cool. I think the first thing that I wanted to share that popped out for me with this, something that kind of parallels, or there's a lot of overlap for me with paradox, is also coincidence. It's just they can have that same kind of feeling, that same kind of just connection inside me. And one of my favorite things that I've heard in the program is somebody said, coincidence is God's anonymity. And I'm going to repeat that again. It's so cool. Coincidence is God's anonymity. And that just stood out for me so much. I think that's so cool because through my life and recovery now, I don't believe in coincidence anymore. I just can't. I can't. Just the amount of times I've had things line up, overlap, things happen just in the nick of time, just consistently, and there's just no other explanation for them. And I don't know if I'm that lucky to have had that many happen that many times. But even beyond me, because I hear so many other people in recovery talk about the same thing. I know I'm not alone in sharing that experience. So yeah, coincidence is God's anonymity. And because of recovery, I no longer believe in coincidence. So it has to be that the works of a higher power working in my life, essentially. Whatever that may be that's looking out for me, right? Not necessarily God, even at that point. Anyway, that was the first thing that I just wanted to share that popped out for me when I read this title first. But just these opening lines and quotes I think are really strong and true. Strength arising out of complete defeat and weakness. The loss of one's old life as a condition for finding a new one. There's so much power in that. And in that wording, it's I don't know. I look at it kind of as like a different take on the line of whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I've never really been a big fan of that line. I also haven't really found that very much be a part of my experience. If something almost killed me, it almost killed me. It whooped my ass, right? So there is definitely some permanent scars. There's a bunch actually on me from things that almost killed me. I don't know if they made me stronger necessarily, versus this language speaks to me a whole lot more. strength arising out of complete defeat. So that's very step one for me, right? With AA, when I had to get sober and when I came into the program, and just that first step, right? Admitting you're powerless. Your life is unmanageable. Like, these are not easy things to do. And they sure weren't for me. And I fought them tooth and nail and was very resistant with it. And you think originally that's when you feel like you're at the weakest, like that's one of the weakest points of your life. That's when you're that weak, defeated, admitting you're powerless, you've got nothing. And then building a life out of recovery. I mean, now, 12 years in, I am overall the strongest I have ever been. You know? And I'm like, not physically, like overall, my character, my state of mind, my resilience, just all of these other things that I have, and I've never had them at this level before, and I have them through building a life in recovery, starting with that first step of admitting that powerlessness and unmanageability. So, strength arising out of complete defeat and weakness. And the second part really pops out for me too. The loss of one's old life as a condition for finding a new one. That for me very much is thinking of like a snake shedding its skin. You know? That's the first visual that I get out of this. And for people who bottomed out the way I did, who understand when it's time for them to get sober, they absolutely cannot use again or like act out, whatever. They can't relapse anymore. They have to let go of their addiction and all that old life and have to build a life in recovery. A part of that process and early on, and I think it's really important and really not talked about enough, is the fact that you have to let go of your old life. You have to completely give up and accept the fact that that old addict way of living is not working for you. It's not going to work for you. You have to give that up and let that go. And what comes with that is grief. You have to go through a grieving process of that. That's another thing I don't think people talk about nearly enough, is letting yourself go through a grieving process of your former self, of your former life, because you are losing these things. Go through that process. Accept that you have to give them up. You can't be that person anymore. If you use the way that I did, there's no middle of the road. There's no, maybe someday down the road. There's no just champagne at a wedding bullshit. Like, we don't have that in us. We just don't. So we have to accept and let go of all of those aspects, our old lives, our old selves, everything. Do that, grieve, go through that grieving process genuinely. Then you're able to build a new life. You make space for a new life. You know, it just, that process to me has always made so much more sense. Those were the things that really helped me the most, with not only an early recovery, but also just sticking with it. You know, like at 12 years straight, I came in, entered recovery once. I've never relapsed, never used, and God willing, I am never planning on using. And so being able to do that was really important, because then I'm removing all of these reservations. So now I'm not also thinking, oh, but what if? Oh, hey, remember that time? Maybe we could just go back to, like, no. I've already let go. I've already grieved. I've already done that whole process. Cut and dry. Oh, sorry. Sorry if that's triggering language. My apologies. Not the goal. But anyway, yeah. I had to do that to then be able to make a new life, right? So I went through the process, the loss of one's old life as a condition for finding a new one and then building it through recovery. So anyway, those were just really important things that stood out to me that I wanted to share in that reflection. And then I think anything else, I don't have much else to share on them. They're just really good paradoxes and examples of things that I personally have experienced. I was experiencing them before in life, but I was either loaded or stuck in self-centered fear or trauma or whatever, so I was missing them. I wasn't experiencing them to the fullest. How could I or feel these things when I was so hopped up on substance, right? So now, being able to see and understand these things, when I face a fear, I get courage. When I support somebody else, my capacity for love is increased. This is one that's actually been really huge for me recently. When I accept pain as part of the growing experience of life, I realize a greater happiness. That is another huge one. Huge for me. Just because it's so different and it's just so different from my old addict mindset. Just wallowing and being stuck in life is pain, life is suffering, this isn't fair, when are things going to be good, I always want to be happy, all of that stuff. There's so much more than that. And being free of substance and living in recovery, knowing that I'm not going to relapse over feeling and facing these things. Being able to accept pain as a part of life, knowing that's just a part of the deal. And then as a result, even from the realization, even down the road, after having gone through that pain, I'm able to find more joy. It's a couple things, more joy, more peace, I think is the biggest one with that. More peace from that understanding. I'm not fighting it. I'm not trying to change it. I'm not arguing with it, which is really just myself in my head. Just that acceptance brings me more peace around that. But again, early on in recovery, if you told me I had to go through pain to understand that, I probably wouldn't have understood you, or probably wouldn't have made any sense. So anyway, maybe if I keep doing bit by bit, I'll keep dissecting and then be talking a whole lot longer. So maybe that's a bit too much for one coffee and contemplation for today. But regardless, just lots of great little points and things that stand out from this. And just the fact that it has this big fantasy feel to it is really neat for me. It's just fun. It's just cool. I really like that reflection. And I hope you did too. I hope you got something out of that reflection. Please list in the comments what stands out for you in that reflection. Share your thoughts on it. Please, because they could really help somebody else. And we just get more quotes, more community contributions. It's just like more shares in a meeting. Got them written down. So please throw them down in the comments, and all the rest of the YouTube things, like, subscribe, share, if you feel the desire to, if this content is standing out to you. And also, if you're liking the ideas and things that I'm talking about in these videos, I do recovery coaching. So check in the description. Please send me an email, reach out to me. I'd love to see if I can be a part of your recovery journey and I can help in any way. And also in that description, we've got the rest of the ways you can engage with the channel and get some more support for yourself. We've got other recovery coaching videos, a podcast, a network of some other service providers, a guided meditation. So it's just going to keep growing. So just keep checking and coming back to it so this channel can become a full resource for you to help guide you and just give you some more tools in your recovery. And lastly, if you're liking how all of this sounds, you like the concept of this channel, please consider supporting it. Donating, becoming a member, buying some merch, all these things really make a difference. It can help us keep putting out more videos to help more people. So please support the channel. Check them all out. But yeah, thanks again for joining us for another Coffee and Contemplation, and we will see you tomorrow. Have another blessed 24.